everybody. It is officially 2026, and I am here and back with another amazing guest with us today. I kid you not, guys, and I say this all the time, but I have been tracking this girl down for like months. Like, I'm like, interview, please. I have been waiting to finally get her onto the podcast for her to share her perspective. Today, you guys, we have the one, the only Priscilla Kim Ong, also known as Sela, who is a Khmer-Krom American living in Cambodia. You guys know her. You guys have seen her. She has a huge presence on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Since starting her journey to learn Khmer and reconnecting with her roots, by moving back to the motherland in Cambodia, she's been able to find a way to really truly reconnect with her identity through this amazing homecoming experience. She is the founder of Selarati, a Gun Khmer homecoming experience, which launched last month in December 2025. And we are honestly just so excited to have her join us. I personally think it's so interesting because honestly, guys, when we look at the social media space and you think about all the different Khmer Americans, I've started to notice like a really interesting shift of a lot of people being drawn back to the homeland and to the home country. And I think Priscilla has been just kind of one of the forefronters of that. She has really taken that on and really transformed it into something that she can share with other people and invite other people to come and join her as part of that experience. So I am so excited to have her on. Priscilla, Sela, welcome to the Death in Cambodia podcast.
Thank you so much, Mong. Oh my gosh, what an introduction. I'm like blushing listening to you talk about me. Thank you. I've been wanting to be on this. I know we've been like chatting back and forth for months and months, like trying to find a time. And, last year, 2025 was just crazy busy. Just a crazy year in general. So I'm so honored to be on your podcast, and also at the beginning of 2026, I feel meant to be.
Yes. Right before we even pressed record, we kind of touched on a topic about being on social media and the fact that we only get to do short form content when we post online. And it's really hard for people to actually get the full story of what we do behind the scenes and like really sit down and have that in-depth conversation. And I think that is why I have personally I still love podcasting. I still love sitting here and talking with people for a full hour. And I can guarantee you, I know that there are so many people who are out there listening to this and are like, I don't think I know Priscilla's like full story.
Feel like, people only know little short clips of me, like snippets of my life, snippets of what I think, but like it's only, I don't know, a 1 minute, like 90 seconds long. So I'm never able to fully share my full thoughts or my full intentions with people because like social media, people just scroll past, and so it's like you have to catch them in their attention span. So it's so nice to like, sit down and actually talk, and for everyone listening, like, okay, this is me, like beyond just the 90-second clips or beyond my YouTube, like vlogs and stuff, even though those are longer, it's like for me to talk about me, not just what I'm doing and everything. So,
thank you. Yeah. So let's time travel all the way back to little Priscilla. From my understanding, from what I read, you actually grew up on the East Coast. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. That is so correct. Some people always think I'm from California. I feel like nobody really knows where I'm from because I don't like advertise. I grew up in New England in a very small, predominantly white town in New Hampshire, actually. A lot of times, like when people ask me where I'm from here in Cambodia, I'll just say like Boston because they don't know New Hampshire, or they might know like Lowell. Because like I have a lot of family in Lowell, Lynn area in Massachusetts. So I was like born in Massachusetts and I was raised in New Hampshire. So very different experience to what I'm living right now. I grew up in like around basically people that didn't look like me. people that thought like even my name was like my last name was weird, like Ong, like that was like just so Asian to them. So I really like grew up just like not really understanding like my Asian American identity, let alone my Khmer identity. So it took a long time, and honestly, not until like I went to college. So I went to college out in San Francisco, and that's when I really started to like get into learning about my Khmer identity and all of that. So, but growing
Yeah.
up, yeah, I don't even know, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything with
Yeah.
my Khmer identity.
Did your parents instill in you that you were Khmer? Like, were you eating Khmer food? Were you speaking Khmer? From what I read, you didn't grow up with Khmer, right? And but like you
Yeah.
didn't grow up speaking it. What aspects of that were part of your life while growing up?
I feel like my experience was really unique because I'm Khmer-Krom. So for listeners who don't know about Khmer-Krom or Kamchik-Krom, like my mom is from Kamchik-Krom. Kamchik-Krom means like the lower part of Cambodia, which is now
Mm-hmm.
part of modern day Vietnam or the Mekong Delta. So when my mom grew up, she was in Vietnamese schools and she spoke Vietnamese, but our family also spoke Khmer. So and she fled to the U.S. during the Vietnam War. She didn't flee during the Khmer Rouge, unlike a lot of like our diaspora. So our experiences are very mixed, like Vietnamese and Khmer. And honestly, growing up, like I knew, like I was in my head, I knew like, okay, I'm technically not Vietnamese, but like I grew up in Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese community. So I just also identified as Vietnamese and Cambodian. But because my mom like fled with Vietnamese refugees, right? Like we were in so many Vietnamese communities. She owned a nail salon, like all of like the workers were Vietnamese. So I grew up eating Vietnamese food. Like I didn't really eat Khmer food growing up at all. And that's because also she grew up in Vietnam. So she cooked Vietnamese food, stuff like that. So and because of that, because of where we were, like I was speaking Vietnamese a lot with her at home. And I also grew up with an American, like white stepdad. So I was speaking English a lot as well. And my mom worked like 7 days a week. She wasn't home much. So I was just always speaking English. But the little language that I was speaking was Vietnamese, actually. And then I would only really hear Khmer when I like was at like family events or like with my grandmother. But it was really interesting because my grandmother would always speak to us in Khmer, but then I would like wouldn't be able to understand her. So then she would have to translate it into Vietnamese because she didn't really speak English. So yeah, it was very like
Wow.
multilingual in my family. And like even my family today, like they speak a mixture of Vietnamese and Khmer mixed together. So like even when I started learning Khmer, I was like, oh, that word's not Khmer, like it's Vietnamese. Like I was like, wait, what?
Mhm.
It was such a crazy I like learning and unlearning of the languages and like culturally too, because yeah, so it was just like I really didn't grow up with a lot of the traditional Cambodian American like experience or Khmer cultural things. Like we would go to Lowell and like eat at some restaurants, but like I would go to Yummy Express for any of my other viewers or listeners out in Lowell. Like I would go to like those like iconic places, like Khmer places, but I never really felt Khmer growing up. I felt more Vietnamese until I went to college and until I started to make Khmer friends out in the Bay. And then I was like, oh, like I started to get really interested in my Khmer roots. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have an issue with the Vietnamese identity, or was it just so more that you had happened to move to a place that had a lot of Khmer people that kind of ignited you to like dive deep on the other side? Like you were comfortable in the Vietnamese and you had that, and then you also had the American, but what exactly was it? Was it the environment that made you kind of like be curious about that other side?
So the Vietnamese identity part is really like was super complicated for me. So the whole Khmer Krom
Mm,
identity, rather, because it was during. So I was in college during like COVID hit when I was like midway through college, and so
mm,
time I studied international studies, so I was always very interested in like community level development and cultures and things like that, and so
mhm,
it kind of was just all at the same time when I started to like do more research on like Khmer Krom, on Cambodia. And at the same time, interestingly, my mom was kind of going through her own journey of learning about Khmer Krom, like history and like the things that were going on today in Kamchik Krom or in southern Vietnam, because there's a lot of issues that our people face, like human rights issues and things like that. So we
mhm.
kind of like simultaneously like met like learning about these things, and she introduced me to this organization called the Khmer-Krom Federation, which is actually based in San Jose. And so everything like came together at the same time, where I remember I had like this research project for one of my classes where I like started to research like a UNDP project in Cambodia. And then I just like, it was just all these things were coming together. And at the same time, I had found that there was a group of students at my school starting a Khmer Student Association. And I saw it on Instagram and I was like, wait. And then so that's how I met like some of my really good Khmer friends, my best friend as well, who also happens to be Khmer-Krom. Like she's my age and she's from the Bay. And it was like crazy because I don't know, I think being Khmer-Krom is such a unique experience. So it was so rare like that we found each other at the same university and we like immediately clicked. And then so all at the same time, like I started going to Wat, like her temple, which happened to be the same temple that some of my relatives went to. Like it was just all these things like connecting. I'm like, oh my God, like truly there's a word in Khmer called Nisai. And that's like my favorite word in Khmer. It just really means like when like things come together and happen for a reason, like it was meant to be. It's like when two people crossing paths kind of thing. And it's like, okay, like so I truly felt like that with my best friend, shout out Sovini. But with just all of this, it happened at the same time. Like I became so like passionate about learning about the Khmer-Krom issues because like truly our Khmer-Krom people, I don't know if I can talk about this on here, but do not get treated with the way that they should in Vietnam. They don't have the same like, are not able to exercise like everything that they should be in terms of like learning Khmer, like keeping our culture and like like doing all these things. It's very like, and without getting too sensitive, it's very difficult for them. And I became like, I was so passionate. I did advocacy work. So I joined that organization and I spoke at the UN a few times with KKF, that organization, to like advocate for Khmer-Krom indigenous rights because we want them to be recognized as, you know, they're indigenous to that land. Like that land used to be Khmer land, right? So they're Khmer people. They've been there for generations and generations. And so all of these things, I was just like, it was this whole awakening, this whole period of like, oh my God, I'm actually Khmer-Krom. And like, what does this mean? And so going back to your question, like, I really started to kind of reject my Vietnamese identity because I was like, oh my God, like the Vietnamese government, they're doing this, and that. And not only government, but like people, of course, like, unfortunately, they are either, I don't know, discrimination happens everywhere in every culture and every community. And so tons of Vietnamese people discriminate against Khmer-Krom, like Khmer people there. And so I began to really struggle with my identity. And I began to be like, okay, I'm Khmer-Krom, like, and completely rejected my Vietnamese side for a long time. And that's when I started to learn Khmer at the Wat, like at the temple in San Jose, and really learn about the culture and traditions. But along that journey, I had to learn eventually how to like not hate my Vietnamese side, because at the same time, that's still my family. Like we speak Vietnamese at home, like my family identifies as Vietnamese in a lot of ways. And like, that's still home. Like I'm going tomorrow to Cambodia, to Vietnam with my mom. And it's like, we're going to visit our hometown. Like, so at the end of the day, it's still home and it's still a part of us. And so it took a long time for me to kind of like heal that side of me that I'm like, okay, it's not that I hate like a whole country or a whole people. It's like, I hate what like government and systems did to our people and still do to our people, and how that ripples into like how everyday people treat our people. But like, it's been a healing journey of like learning how to separate government and politics and all of that aside, and just be like more open and like loving about, okay, who I am, I'm Khmer-Krom. Like, that's why it's really important to me to say that I'm Khmer-Krom, because I'm not just Khmer. Like, I have such a unique experience being Khmer-Krom with the Vietnamese side. And I think I'm still in that journey of reconnecting because, you know, moving to Cambodia, it's all Khmer, right? So especially the platform and the kind of like social media presence I've created, all of my content surrounding like Khmer identity, because that's been my journey in reconnecting and learning Khmer. But in the process, I'm like, okay, how do I still hold on, keep that other part of me alive without like shutting out the like Vietnamese side? Because I don't want to shut that out, because that's still part of me. That's still part of my family. it's hard because as I'm sure you know, there's some animosity between Cambodian and Vietnamese communities as well. And so
Yeah.
it's very like hard. It's like a third place to be in within like, a minority within a minority. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
a complicated place, but I'm trying to navigate it and trying to do it with like, just with love, like still love Vietnamese people and like love Khmer people, even if they are like discriminating against each other. It's like, how do I like, yeah, it's hard. I'm still figuring it out, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. And I think there's so many people that relate to that kind of in between. And then you've also got the American side that like, you're born in America. And so I similarly struggle in the same way, but in the Chinese side. So like my grandparents, I spoke Cantonese to them, but they spoke Khmer to like my parents, so it was always like intertwined. And like the traditions that I had were mostly Chinese. And I would, eat dim sum on the weekends more than I would eat,
Yeah.
Nompachok or something. And so, but we would still hear the language around. So there's most of us, I think, are floating in that somewhere in between. Yeah, I definitely would say it's something that I don't think anyone has quite figured out. We just try to be as authentic as possible with the content that we put out. And I think that's just the best that we can do. Do you remember a moment? Was it a particular paper that you read? Was it something that you did that you truly leaned into your Khmer identity? What was that spark?
Oh, wow. I think the spark that really like pushed me into learning about everything Khmer, there were many instances that I learned about where Khmer-Krom people were like trying to educate our other Khmer-Krom people in Vietnam about whether it was like indigenous rights or sustainable development goals or really like good important things using Khmer language. But like Khmer language is such a sensitive topic there because like the government they cannot read Khmer, so it's like they
Mm-hmm.
don't like they cannot censor it. So then they censor it by completely like shutting it down kind of thing. And so people have been arrested, people have been just really unjustly interrogated and all of these things. And so when I learned about these things, I was like, are you kidding me? Like just for like trying to teach our own people in our Khmer language about these
Yeah.
things. And of course there's more quote unquote political things about like with land grabbing and all that stuff. But it was just like I was so fired up. How could they do that to our people? Like because I still have family in Kamchikram, so it's just like even
Yeah.
if it's not directly my family, like that is like my family. Like that's what community is, right? So I
Right.
was just like I couldn't believe I was so enraged, and I knew that if I wanted to help our people, I needed to learn Khmer because as I started the advocacy work, it was all through translations like oh this is what this person told me what happened, but like I could
Mm-hmm.
never read anything myself or listen to the videos. I didn't understand anything, so I was like I need to learn Khmer. And so that really is what propelled me into like going to Wat and learning Khmer with the monks, because I was like for one to help our people, but also like I wanted to be able to just connect with our community, connect with my family, and like talk to them on a deeper level besides just like hello did you eat, yeah, and like that, like those surface
Yeah.
level conversations. So that's
Yeah.
really kind of ignited my journey into like getting connected with my Khmer side.
Yeah. Your first trip back to Cambodia or your first trip ever was in 2020, right?
Yes, that was my first trip ever to Cambodia. So yeah, this was actually right before COVID, actually. And I went with my mom. We had gone to Vietnam to Camchikrom. We have a photo. So I went back when I was like a baby, but so this is my first time with consciousness going back.
Yeah.
Um, and but I don't ever think I went to Cambodia. It was only Vietnam before. So this was my first time. We had only taken like a 3-day trip. We took a bus from Vietnam to Phnom Penh, and we went to Siem Reap as well, and like went to Angkor Wat and stuff. But at that time, none of this had sparked yet. So I just was not like, I didn't know any Khmer. I was not super interested in like my Khmer culture and history. Like I just remember going and like, it was just like hot and like, uh,
Sticky.
yeah, And I was like with my mom's friend who I didn't even know who these people were. And I was just like, okay, going along. Like, of course I went to Angkor Wat and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then like, even our tour guide was speaking in Khmer and Vietnamese. I didn't understand half of it. So like, it was just like,
Yeah.
I think what many of us experience as like diaspora when we visit Cambodia, it was just like it's like a fever dream. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And it's like, I don't know what's happening. It's hot. And I'm just like, yeah. So I feel like that first trip, it was just a taste, but I didn't appreciate it as much until I
Mhm.
came here in 2022 after I graduated college and after I decided like I really was going to come stay here and learn Khmer. So,
Yeah. There must have been a huge transformation, right? That's only 2 years from 2020 to 2022 that you've made the decision to move your whole life to go. I mean, I consider myself a pretty adventurous person, but I think it would take a lot for me to feel like I can just pick up and move. And so tell me, I know that you were getting really ignited and really fired up about how people were treated in Khmer-Krom area. And I also know that, outside of what you show on social media, you are also doing your job is actually with, is it nonprofits and NGOs? And so are you still doing that? And was that what brought you to Cambodia, or what was that decision process making like?
yeah. So the main reason I moved to Cambodia was to learn Khmer and to learn about our roots, our history, our culture. It was really like only in 2021 when I started to have start this journey. And I started to learn Khmer, but it was so hard to learn Khmer in the US and learn at Watt. Like I was learning like the Khmer alphabet for like 3 months straight. Like I made no progress. So like it was so hard because I would learn every week and then I'd go back to my life and speak English every day. And so I just like I would like beat myself up in hindsight, which is never a good idea. But like, I would be like, why am I not like improving at Khmer? Like, I say I want to learn Khmer, but like, I'm not practicing it, or I'm not like all these things. And so I was like, I need to take drastic measures. Like, if I really want to learn Khmer, and this is
Yeah.
not cutting it, and there was just no like resources really like available to me to learn Khmer in the U.S. Like, I even tried to like, I know at Berkeley they have a Khmer class, but at my university and many universities you cannot enroll in like another college class like
Mhm.
outside of university. So like I wasn't even allowed to like take Khmer classes at the university near us. So I was like, you know what, I'm graduating college and like literally what better time. I don't have any responsibilities, I don't have a job yet. Like this is the best time that I'll ever have to pick up and go to another country, to go to Cambodia and learn Khmer. And like there's really no risk. Like at the end of like I had no risks and no responsibilities, and I'm really lucky. But I was like, let me just go. And so I applied for this program with the Center for Khmer Studies, and it was like a 2-month program to learn Khmer and Khmer language and culture, which is fully funded by the U.S. Actually, you just had to pay for like your accommodation, food, like stuff. But the classes and the trips like that we went on to like Angkor Wat and stuff, it was all included. And I actually did it with my best friend Sovini as well. And I think it's only for Americans, I think, but they also have another program for like French and stuff. But anyway, so I did that for 2 months. But my original plan was I was going to come to Cambodia for like 6 months. And I was thinking about going to Vietnam for 6 months, like Kamchikram, to like learn the language and learn about things. And then I was going to come back and then, I don't know, get a job in whatever. I studied international studies and sustainable development. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll come back and I'll try to help our people. But then like, I remember when there was one day, probably like 2 months into living in Cambodia, I was like at the Sky Bar, just like at nighttime, looking over Phnom Penh, like the city. And I was like, oh my God, I have to stay here. Like, I want to stay here longer than like, I was just like, I have to stay here. I think that it was just this feeling of like, I need to be here. And it's funny when I talk to a lot of people here in Phnom Penh that move here, everybody says the same thing. Like nobody expects to be here as long as they are, but something just keeps them here, whether it was on accident or not, something keeps them here in Cambodia, and it ends up being so much longer than they anticipated. And it's just like, I don't know, I just feel like something about it here is like so magnetic. And I wonder if that's for me, if it's because I'm Khmer, but then there's tons of expats from like other countries that feel that way too. So I think, I don't know, there's something about Cambodia that is just so like, you just can't leave. Like it's such an amazing place. And so I decided to stay. And then I had no idea though when I was going to go back. I figured like, eventually I'll move back to the US when I've like, I don't know. But then after a while, I just was like, no, I love it here. And then I met my partner here. And now I'm just like, yeah, this is where my life is. And I see myself building everything from here. So, and to go back to your question about work, so it wasn't the NGO. It wasn't until probably 6 months after I was living here. I was studying Khmer. I had finished the program. I wanted to continue studying Khmer. I study with monks here as well. And then because there was no class for me that was like for a Khmer heritage speaker, like even though I didn't grow up speaking it, I knew enough after like learning in the US that like I couldn't just join the beginner for like white expats or something, like
Yeah, yeah.
my mom, she's very involved in the Buddhist community. And so she had arranged with a monk, like a school for monks, a literal school for monks for me to learn. But I had a private class with the teachers, and I'm so grateful. But it was still really hard because they didn't really speak English and I didn't really speak Khmer. So it was hard. But anyways, after like 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm going to live here. So I want to start working, not just like, I wanted to get work experience. I wanted to learn. So I always wanted to work in the NGO nonprofit space. And so, yeah, I just started applying to jobs here at NGOs. And funny enough, it was like somebody who I had reached out to back when I was in college on LinkedIn, like straight up cold message, who I had saw that worked at UNDP Cambodia. And I was like, hey, like, can I like meet you online for like an informational interview? Like, I'm Cambodian American, da da da. And she was really open to it. Her name's Cheryl, if she's listening to this. Shout out to her because I had met her back in like, I don't know, 2021. I came to Cambodia a few years later. I asked her to meet for coffee. I was like, hey, so I ended up moving here. Would you be down to meet for coffee? And then she had connected me with somebody she knew that worked at like UNICEF. And then she connected me with somebody that worked at Good Neighbors Cambodia, which is the NGO that I worked at for 2 years. So it was just so crazy. Like everything just worked out. I don't work there now, but I spent 2 years at that NGO doing community development projects, a lot in like education, health, water and sanitation projects, income generation. So I always wanted to like work in development work, especially because it's what I studied and I really loved it. But I think I felt such a calling to what I'm doing now at Selarati. It was always like deep inside me, like this is what I want to do. This is what really like my heart longs for. And so it was a difficult decision, but I was like, okay, I'm going to leave the NGO space and I'm going to start my dreams and start Selarati. So,
Yeah. I think it's really beautiful and it's also like great timing, to be honest, because as I had mentioned previously in the beginning, like I see this movement of people, more and more people kind of slowly moving back to Cambodia to like rediscover their roots or for whatever reason it is. I feel like it's because there is kind of this feeling when you're Cambodian American, because the representation is not as great as the other, quote unquote, Asian groups that are represented well in the US. You are kind of floating in this in between of like who you are. And then it's also very, very hard to figure out who you truly are because there's just nobody really around you. Like, that right there is very much like a diaspora experience in America for sure, but like France as well, and Australia and all these other places. And it's hard because the majority of people who have spread out through the diaspora is because of what had happened, the war in 1975. And like, so you're kind of dropping a bunch of these people in these communities where they never really felt like they belonged. And it seemed like you were so passionate about that part of yourself and your story that it became something, I mean, would you agree? I mean, I see so many people now, more and more moving back to Cambodia.
yeah, I think it's so true what you said about like, we're kind of just in this in between and we're kind of just like floating, trying to like latch onto any piece of like identity, community, like Khmerness that we can find, because there's so little of it in comparison to like everything we see online, like all the resources and content and stuff. Like, I think that's what's so beautiful about the community that we've begun to create, like online, like the fact that I met you, just found you on Instagram and things like that. Like, it's beautiful because I think now a lot of us like Khmer in the diaspora, we're like, oh my God, that person's Khmer. Okay, I want to follow them, or like whatever it
Yeah.
is. I think I love that about us. And it's a beautiful way that we're able to create community. And at the same time, like, yeah, it's so hard because we kind of have to create this all ourselves, like there
Yeah.
is such a huge disconnect from Cambodia to the US and the diaspora, from our parents to us, from like, the whole like communities in Cambodia and all the like knowledge in Cambodia, like from ancient knowledge, traditional knowledge to like modern like issues and things to our communities, because it's like the language barrier. I think there's a lot of like space for us to create. And but it's like we're trying to learn and create at the same time. And so it's a really interesting place to be. And I feel like being Khmer American or like part of the Khmer diaspora is so unique.
Yeah. And there are so many people I know that feel the same way. So you've decided to jump on your own and create this amazing homecoming program, passion project turned, business, Selarati. When was it that you officially felt like, okay, I really need to start this? And what was that like? Because starting stuff is not easy. It's a lot of work. It's hard. That's a big step. So tell me a little bit about that, about the beginnings and just growing what you have today.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, starting Selarati. Oh my gosh, my heart flutters when I say that. It's like it's been such a dream. Like I think throughout my whole journey coming to Cambodia, it was like really hard. Like coming to Cambodia, living here, really being alone. So I moved here and I lived with my lopta, my grandfather, who I never really knew. I had only met him that one time in 2020 for like one day. Like I didn't know him. I didn't know my family here. It was so hard because I was just alone. Like the language barrier, like not having anyone to really confide in, not having anyone to talk to on the daily. Like I was just not only literally alone, but like emotionally alone,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to navigate Cambodia, trying to navigate learning the language and my identity. Like, who am I in relation to my identity? And are they separate things? How do they become one? And it was just like over the course of like basically at least the first 2 years, those were the hardest, trying to figure everything out and make friends and like all of these things come together and try to like be happy at the same time. Like I was on this mission to learn Khmer and to learn, but I was also like, how do I build a life? I was like in my early 20s, like figuring out who I am. And I just always wished I had like other people that understood what I was going through to go through it with. Like I made friends here who were Khmer, like local Khmer, but of course, like they just grew up different than I did. And I had along the way met a few other like Khmer diaspora, which was really amazing to connect with them and be able to share. But it wasn't only until my second year here, because my first year I lived with family and I didn't have any friends. Like for a whole year. I'm not even kidding. Like because my family was very traditional and strict. Like I couldn't go out, past sunset. Like, I did not have friends for like a whole year. So it wasn't until my second year I started to meet people and connect and begin everything. But it's actually the reason I started to post content is because like that was my outlet. I didn't have friends and I didn't have people to talk to about this stuff. So I would just record myself and post about like things that I learned or like things that I'm doing. Cause I also wanted to document it for myself. But I was like, hopefully this can reach like other Khmer diaspora, like Khmer Americans like me. Because if I were like still in the US and back when I was in the US, I always wanted to see Cambodia and what it was like. But like there was just like, I don't know if it's the algorithm, but I would never see any content from Cambodia when I was like back before. And I think now
Mm.
it's increasing, but like I had no exposure to Cambodia. So I wanted to also share that with our community. but yeah, it was really my outlet. And I joke about it with my partner now, my boyfriend, like the reason I posted so much before was like I had nobody to talk to. And now it's like, and now I have you to talk to. So I don't post as many like ridiculous, like thoughtless stories anymore. But it's like, yeah, because I just was like, that was my way to like connect with people, which it really was meant to be. And it was all full circle and for a reason. But yeah, so really the whole idea for Selarati and for creating a Gon Khmer homecoming experience was just because I went through this journey alone, and I just wish I had other Gon Khmer like me to do it with, to like talk about why, like when I see certain things, like why does this make me cry? Like why am I getting emotional? Like other Khmer people here, it's just normal to them, right? But like a small little thing of like seeing little kids speak Khmer, or like seeing my tuk tuk driver, like I will like cry because and during my first trip, like that really resonated, and that happened with a lot of people because it's like there's just something in us as Khmer diaspora that we just all share, like regardless of how they grew up, like how connected they were with their Khmer community or not. Like we just all share this like same longing to be connected with our Khmer identity and with our Khmer community. And so that was really the inspiration behind a Gon Khmer homecoming experience. I was like, I've lived this, I've been here for 3.5 years, and like I want to curate the experience that I wish I had, and also in a way that's like specific for our community, like specific for Gon Khmer, not like you're just joining some tour travel company, like they're like you just bought a package and like going along with like foreigners, because I've also traveled to other countries and you go with like other people from around the world, like foreigners, it's not the same. You know, it's like it's different when
Yeah.
you're traveling with your people, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I want to curate that space for our community, who like we can talk about these things together, and we can like speak Khmer together and not have people laugh at us. And so all these things, like I just wanted to create that for our people. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for being so vulnerable, being about how hard it is, because I think people, again, don't really see that side on social media. When you just pick up and move, you only see the great, beautiful, adventurous, wanderlust, good stuff on social media, but people don't talk about the loneliness. What made you push through and want to stay? Was it that you felt like something was coming, or what made you push through that, or instead of just saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to go home?
Yeah. There was definitely moments where I was like crying and like wondering, should I just go back home? There was some really hard moments, like yeah, very lonely moments. And I think what kept pushing me was like I came here on a mission to learn Khmer. And at those times it was still very early on. I was
Mhm.
like, I still can't even speak Khmer. I was like, I can't go back yet. Like I
Yeah.
came here to learn Khmer, and then I'm going to go back, and like I can't even speak Khmer still. So I think that was really like it really was my determination. Like I was like, whatever I say I'm gonna do, like I'm gonna do it. So I
Hmm.
was like, I have to do this, and I want to do this. Like it was just so important to me, and almost to a fault, that I was like, I have to learn Khmer. I want to learn it so bad that I think a part of me really felt like, they always say this to us, Gon Khmer, like, oh, Gon Khmer, Achak Khmer, Jung, like, you're Khmer, but you
Hmm.
don't speak Khmer. And like, that hurt me so much from childhood to adulthood. It really fueled this like fiery, like determination. Like, I have to learn Khmer. I have to I believed it too. I was like, oh, if I don't speak Khmer, then how can I tell people I'm Khmer? And it's
Hmm.
so sad, but so many of us in the diaspora, like we hear that and we feel that. And I was like, no, I have to do this. And I don't know, it's like, I guess that was my motivation. And I just felt like, yeah, I was so determined. Like I had this goal, and I'm like, I need to reach it. And then, but it just went so much further than just learning Khmer and learning about our history and culture. It just was like, I'm like, I don't know, the journey never ends. So
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to me about your first Selarati trip experience last month. You said something that really struck out to me. You said that for the diaspora, there are small things that can just make us emotional. And I wonder, a question that popped up was like, I wonder if like Vietnamese people feel this way or like Thai, or you know what I mean? Like other Southeast Asians, like I wonder what it is, and it could be that we touched on it earlier that there's just so few of us that are outside of the country and just we're a small country in general. But like, what was that experience like for the girls that you invited and the impact on you as well?
Yeah. The first Gon Khmer homecoming experience was life changing for all of us. And I know a lot of the girls had said that too. It was so healing for all of us in so many different ways. For me to be able to create this healing experience for other people, like, and see the healing and the change from day one to day 10 was incredible because I held a lot of reflection circles and I really wanted the journey to be really intentional because it's so easy to travel and everything just flies by. So I wanted each day to be like, okay, like, first of all, why are we here? Why is every person here? Everyone has a different reason and different parts of themselves that they want to connect with. But I remember at the orientation, like literally, I kid you not, within the first like 30 seconds of me talking to everyone and looking at everyone in their eyes, like everyone started tearing up. And I don't know, it was like the energy in the air, the connection, like how connected we all were. Mind you, we've never met before. Like we met one time online before the trip. But so it's like it's so crazy the connection that we have as Khmer diaspora, that like the fact that people can come from different states, different countries, and never have known each other before, only have texted. And the fact that we can sit in a circle, look at each other in the eyes, and like tears just come because we're like, whoa, we're here in the motherland. And like, we're all here for the same reason, the same experience, to reconnect. It's actually indescribable. Like it's something that like it's a feeling you just have to experience yourself. And like I can't believe it, to witness like their change, their growth from day one to being like kind of like excited to be in Cambodia, but not so confident in their Khmer identity, to by the end, them speaking Khmer and them feeling like so proud to be on Khmer, to speak with locals, to like, oh my God. I feel like it's funny because some of them are older than me, but I feel like I'm like a teacher and I'm seeing my students like grow. It's like, oh my God, like the transformation was incredible. We had a couple of people who were adopted, like born in Cambodia and lived in the US their entire lives. And one of the girls, like it was her first time coming back since she was born. And so like literally upon landing, upon the first night, like it was very emotional for her, for all of us to like touch the ground and be like, this is the land that I come from. These are the people that like, these are my people. And for people that even were like born abroad, like in the US or Australia, but like being able to, a lot of the girls had said when they reflected back, like in some of the activities, like we did, we met local families in Battambang and like talked with them. And for them to hear from Khmer people here in Cambodia that they see them as Gon Khmer, like that, like to hear that, it's so validating because our whole lives we've been told like, you're not Khmer enough, you don't speak Khmer, you don't know anything about Khmer culture, you're not really Khmer. But to hear from like local Khmer people in Cambodia, like, oh, like welcome home, Gon Khmer, like it's just, I could get emotional right now thinking about it because it's so special. Like I think we are just longing for that, like that feeling of like acceptance and belonging, like so much. I think all of us Gon Khmer, like at varying levels, but like, yeah, longing for that because like so many of us never felt Khmer enough. And regardless of whatever other people might say back home, it's like you came to Cambodia and you were welcomed with like open arms and you felt Khmer. Like that's just priceless. So yeah, this whole journey, it's like every time I think about it, I could cry. And like where I'm like, I was yesterday going through some of the vlog footage that we're putting together with my videographer, and like I was getting emotional hearing their reflections because it's like, wow, like we've really ignited this like transformation and started this healing that people are going back home to their communities and bringing with them. So yeah, it's been incredible. Yeah.
I mean, clearly this is a business, but project out of love, out of pure love, out of pure authenticity of what you have experienced. And it shows. And I think flowers to you for creating the programming to be so intentional as well, right? Because I loved how you just mentioned, like, you and seeing from some of your vlogs, like, there were certain things and you structured this experience in a very particular way to make sure that the girls were experiencing very, very specific things.
Yeah.
So, walk me through kind of your thought process on your non negotiables when you were looking at that 10-day experience. What were the things that absolutely the girls who were flying all the way here, what did you want them to experience?
Yeah. Oh, that is such a good question. My non-negotiables for this trip, I mean, when I planned it, I was like, okay, what do I want, like, from this trip, what do I want my, like, participants to feel? What do I want them to, like, because I essentially trying to plan, like, and facilitate healing and transformation through
Mhm.
reconnection. So I'm like, from the beginning to the end, there has to be this, like, kind of arc through this journey, these 10 days. And, like, what do I want them to feel by the end of this trip? How do I want them to maybe think differently about Cambodia, about themselves, that they might have, had came in with different perspectives? And, like, what do I want them to experience during this trip? What do I want them to take away? And so a lot of my building of the itinerary and the activities and stuff was really based on, like, okay, like, I want them to, like, feel like they belong. Like, I want them to feel like they are going Khmer regardless. And so how do we, like, build that into, like, each activity, into the reflection and intention setting, into the journaling? I want them to speak Khmer. Everyone, at the end of the day, I think all of us can say we want to be able to speak Khmer, as scary and nerve wracking as it is. So, like, I intentionally put that, like, we taught them Khmer each day, and, like, from the beginning to the end, if you compare from day 1 to day 10, like, they could buy things on their own, like, order things on their own. So, like, I'm just so proud of them. But so it's like, yeah, like, this whole journey, like, how is it going to be from the beginning? And, like, it was very, like, okay, from the beginning they might be a little nervous, or they're going to be excited. So I started in Phnom Penh and then went to Battambang and Siem Reap. And so the journey in each place is also very intentional, and how much time we spend at each place. There's certain parts that, like, I feel are just crucial to learn about when you come to Cambodia. Of course, like, learning about the Khmer Rouge and the genocide, like going to Do Slang Genocide Museum, or, like, of course, you have to go to Angkor Wat. Like, I don't care if you've been to Angkor Wat before. I just believe you have to go every time, because, like, there's so much there that you can go a million times and it's still not enough. Like, where you didn't learn everything, or, like, just, like, being there, it's like this, like, grounding experience. And that was one of my favorite things at the end. And a lot of the girls had said, like, we did a really special visualization experience at Angkor Wat, where it's towards the end of the trip. And so it's like they're able to see how far they've come. They're able to connect with, like, parts of them, parts of the motherland, their ancestors, that while they're sitting on the land of their ancestors. So it was all very, very intentional for them to feel like, they felt the pain and the grief when they went to Do Slang. And we talked about that and all of those things. They felt the connection when we went to Wat, and we learned about, like, Buddhism, and we did offering ceremony to our ancestors, and, like, what those things mean. And, like, oh, we've done it at Wat before in the US, but I never really knew why I'm giving food to the monks, like, that kind of thing. So, like,
Mhm.
being able to, like, know why we're doing this, like, why am I bowing? Like, I don't know. That's what my mom told me to do. And, like, no, like, let's learn why we're doing it, and, like, doing it in such a safe space. It's like I wanted to hold them and hold them through this, because I feel like when I learned all of these things, I was, like, smacked around, like, through the
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
experience. So I wanted to just, like, hold them through it and be like, no, this can, like, learning about our culture, our beautiful culture and history, can be, like, a good experience and, like, a healing experience. So
Yeah, that is so beautiful and so wonderful, because exactly that, like, it's only when we feel truly comfortable in the spaces that we're in that we can be fully vulnerable in the healing process, right? And as you said, it's different when you're on a tour with just a regular that you book online and it's just a bunch of random people, some who don't have the same connection with Cambodia and literally just want to see the sights and leave and move on, versus being with a facilitator who truly knows why you're here. Like, what is it? Like, what are the invisible strings that you're trying to connect to? Yes, I did this at Wat at home, but like now I know why. I hear my parents speak Khmer, but now I can understand a little. I think that's what makes this particular programming so unique. I mean, just sitting here, not even being on one of the trips yet, but like I can sense how transformational that would be. How often do you plan on doing? You've done your first one. I mean, is this something that you see yourself just like completely leaning into and continuing? Like, what does the future of it look like now after you've done the first one?
After doing the first one, I'm like, I have to keep doing this. And I don't even mean to like toot my own horn, but like these girls have told me this. So this is from them. But it's like,
Yeah.
I healed and changed like 6 lives and connected 6 people back to their Khmer identity and like helped them feel Khmer again. And so I'm like, I did this for 6 people, like, and then how many people are in our diaspora, right? That are longing for this. So I'm like, I really want to continue doing this. So I'm planning the next one in April 2026 for Khmer New Year, which is only a few months away. And I've already gotten a lot of interest. People fill out the interest form, and registration will be happening later this month. So I'm so excited. And I plan to do this multiple times a year. I hope I can do it for as long as I can, for as long as I'm able to like have the capacity and be able to do this. And it's really so rewarding, not only for like bringing these participants through this journey, but I also feel like it's not even necessarily like a one-time journey. Like it's like, like some people come to Cambodia every year, and like there's a reason for that. Like it's not like you just come once and that's enough. Like I went to Disneyland once, it's enough. Like it's like you
Yeah.
keep and you keep growing with the country. The country is growing so much right now too, and so I right now like this first kind of going to my homecoming experience is like the first version of it, but I would love to like adapt it more to like different, like if people come again and like how I can get to the next level, I guess. And I also really would love to shape them around the holidays as well. Like the second one is for Khmer New Year. And I would love to do ones for like Chumban, like what is Chumban? And like we see these videos, but I remember before when I would learn about the holidays online, I'm like, I kind of get it, but I don't really get it. Like it's really confusing. I would love to like walk people through these things and let them experience it so they can take that home with them. And I think my dream, and I feel like this might resonate with you, especially, for what you do with Death in Cambodia, Life in America, and with your dad. I would love to bring this experience to Gong Khmer and their parents to come together to Cambodia and to have this healing experience together, because it's one thing to do it for yourself. And I think it's important to do it for yourself separately of your family, but to do it with your parents and have that connection, because I think that's where real healing really needs to happen in our community and in our families. And I hope that I can do that with my family and model that first and learn from that and create that for people in the future. So I see Selarati growing in that way, like having different types of experiences for people to come back home.
Mm-hmm. I resonate so much with that. It's like what I've learned through my platform and kind of what I speak about with my relationship with my father and the healing powers of storytelling, which is, what kickstarted things for me, is that there is such a huge gap between the parents and the kids. We're like on two different planets almost, because they had gone through something, the most horrific thing that you could ever experience. and then and speaking to the, Khmer Rouge survivors, and then we're just, born in America with, all the lightness and whatever, like we've never had to suffer as much. And so we just come, and the language barriers and everything. And so there's so much that needs to be bridged there. So that totally makes sense. And I feel like that would be a wonderful program to integrate. How has the first trip, kind of going back to that just slightly, impacted you? And if you were to choose maybe the most, like one moment out of the 10 days of this past trip that signifies how transformational it could be, what would that moment be with maybe one of the girls?
Yes. First of all, like going to my homecoming experience and also Selarati, like building this, I think it's truly like, it's shaped me in a way that it's taught me, I feel like, about my real power. Like I started this because I'm like, oh, I want to do this for people and help people. But then like I really learned about myself. I'm like, wow, I have this power to like actually help like people heal and to like really bring people on such transformational journeys. And I was like, whoa, I can do that. Like really
Yeah.
learning, oh my gosh, like how much power I have and how much I'm able to do. I think that's been one of the biggest things I've learned. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is not just like a trip. Like this is like, I'm like, wow, this is so much more and I'm capable of so much more. So that's been really beautiful for me personally. And in terms of on the trip, there's so many, each and every single one of the girls on the trip. There's so many moments. I think one that really, really stands out to me still is one of the girls when we after the visualization at Angkor Wat. We did this like thing. It was really to like wrap up the whole journey being in Cambodia, and that she had shared, and she had gotten really emotional too. And she's normally not a crier, and so about how like she never, she grew up in an area with a lot of Khmer people in the US actually. And like, but she never felt like really could be part of it. She never felt Khmer enough. And like her saying that like she finally really feels Khmer, like she feels Khmer enough. And she has a sisterhood now. Like she doesn't have any sisters and now like can walk away with this community. And just the energy in that moment too, like I could feel her heart, and like I'll never forget that. Like that moment was so special to me. Truly cannot even describe. But yeah, the relationships that come out of this experience are actually like you cannot replicate anywhere. You can like there's just no way. Like you spend 10 days like you have fun, you cry together, and like it's just everything. So truly like a family that comes out of it. And for this trip, particularly a sisterhood, but it's not only open to women, it's open to everyone. So, but yeah, like for people that never had a real Khmer community to be able to walk away with one, and one that's like international, one that's all over the world. Like people are planning their trips already to visit each other. And like, yeah.
What an amazing thing that you've created. What a beautiful thing you've created. I'm in awe, and I'm honestly just so proud of you for taking something that brought you the experience that brought you a lot of pain for just a little while when you had moved to Cambodia, and like manifesting it into something good to make sure that other people in the diaspora don't feel the same way, don't feel the same kind of loneliness that you felt, and are able to rediscover themselves in a more safe capacity and in a more intentional capacity. I think it's incredible. I am so glad that something like this is finally starting to exist. I will be personally following to see if I can try to make one of these trips that you're going to be planning. I think it is so needed. And we can do everything that we can here on the social media virtual platforms, but there is truly nothing like somebody actually visiting and like being there on the ground and being there in the country. And I think your upbringing, the fact that you are born in America, but had went through that experience of like not being able to speak any Khmer and then going through the process and living there. It takes that kind of person to be able to create something like this, right? Like the perspective that you have is, and what you've gone through is what makes this so different and very, very niche to what the diaspora needs. So just flowers to you. I'm so, 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 so happy that something like this exists, as I said. If anybody wants to sign up, where would they sign up? Where can they find you? Maybe just a little bit about, I don't know how costs work or whatever, or maybe they can just find it on the website. Like, how does that all work?
Yeah. So on our website, Selarati.com, that's where you can find all the info about the trip as well as the interest form. So the way it works is like you fill out the interest form and then I will contact you with like registration and pricing and stuff like that. And so for the interest form that's out right now for April 2026, if you cannot join this trip, you can still fill it out and select like, oh, when else would you be available? Because that will help me plan. Okay, a lot of people are available this time. We'll do the next trip this time. So yeah, I'm planning to do multiple trips this year. So for anyone that cannot come in April for my New Year, don't worry. We'll have more this year and next year. There's also my New Year next year. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't close out the interview without asking about the super cool project that you also got to work with Barame. So I'm shifting gears just slightly, guys, because I do want to touch on it because I just think it's so cool watching the musical renaissance happening live, in cultural renaissance that's happening in Cambodia and throughout the diaspora. We are trying, all Cambodians are trying so hard to like rebuild culture, rebuild art, and push it to the forefront. And like Barame Productions obviously has been such a trailblazer in this space. And you were one of the people who were able to like work with them. And not only that, your voice is also on one of the songs, which is super, super cool. So just real quickly, can you talk to me about what you are seeing since you've been able to work with them a little bit, but like what is that musical renaissance like and what was it like working with them since you're there actually on the ground?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The Khmer musical renaissance is happening in real time. It's incredible. Not only, I mean, obviously there's Vanda, but like the other artists at Baramai and also in other labels as well. But like there's Van, like so incredible that the work that they're doing, the music they're creating, like they're so talented. It's actually insane. And like the more like I love how Baramai they have the English translations. When you look at like what they're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they really have bars. Like it's so deep and like I love how they've just completely, like, I feel like in a way have brought the Khmer diaspora together, like through the music. Like back in the day, like we only knew like the old songs that our parents listened to, or like, or even most recently would be like what Brep Sabat, like, which is still kind of like before generation. So to have like music that we can listen to nowadays and like enjoy, not for us to feel like, oh, we're listening to old classics, but to like be like, no, I actually really like listening to this normally. So incredible, like to bring people together. Like yeah, flowers to Radamai, to all of them. Like what they're doing is amazing, and having the honor to work with them, it was so incredible. I felt they had actually reached out to me, and I felt so honored because they know that my audience is directly like to the Khmer diaspora. And so they're like, we want our artists to like their music to reach the Khmer diaspora, like outside of just Cambodia. And like, because they deserve that, right? Like and our diaspora wants to listen to their music too. And so I was so grateful to be able to be that bridge in between basically, yeah, the Baramai artists like Khmer music in Cambodia to the rest of the world and like our diaspora community, and sometimes help translate in some of the lyrics, or at least just like, yeah, even get to share like interviews, like interviewing Vanda and interviewing Vantan and Suzanne and like Yuhai. And so like, it's actually really surreal when I think about it. The fact that I even was able to interview like A Witch from Japan, like from Okinawa, and like Krishna from India, like all these international artists. So I really am still so grateful to Bharamai for like giving me that opportunity. Like it was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in so many ways, the Renaissance is happening all over. Musical Renaissance, Renaissance for the diaspora in terms of having more resources like Selarati that you have created to like come and learn and be in touch with their identity. I feel so lucky to be able to be in this kind of golden buzzing space that I feel like is happening right now. And I'm just so proud of everyone. I am so grateful that I am able to like move the wheel with all these incredible people who are all trying to achieve the same thing in their own ways, right? Which is rebuilding the narrative, allowing people to finally get in touch with who they truly are and allowing that in vulnerable spaces. As I said from the beginning, you are just a huge forefront person for that on the ground in Cambodia. So I appreciate you, Sela. Thank you so much for coming on here and speaking and sharing just the background of who you are and what you've created. You've shared that people can find you obviously on Instagram and social media, but is there a website, right, that they would have to fill out or something that they would have to fill out to sign up and follow you?
Yeah, the website, Selarati.com, but definitely social media, our Instagram at Selarati, TikTok and Facebook is the best way to get like updates, like quick updates on like, okay, we just sent out this email, registration's out, stuff like that. And also our YouTube, my personal YouTube, Priscilla Kim Ong, is where I'm posting all of the vlogs from the trip. So in addition to all the shorts that you're seeing on Instagram, TikTok and stuff, full vlogs, full length, where you get to meet all of our guests and see everything that we're doing, like a peek into like what it would really be like if you're in Cambodia. And for the people, I understand not everyone is able to come. Like I want people to see Cambodia and to live vicariously through us, like feel like what it's like going to Battambang and Siem Reap and all these things, Phnom Penh and stuff. So YouTube, please like and subscribe because my video editor, Ash, she's doing amazing videos for us. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sela, for coming on here. Akun Sharan, thank you for coming on here. I know that so many people are going to get value out of this conversation, so thank you so much for being here with your vulnerability.
Thank you so much.